Hey, Pally.
Today is Tuesday, February 12, 2019.
And InFocus starts right now. An internship opportunity for juniors and seniors.
Updates on the measles outbreak in Washington State.
And some new information on the rising crime rates of Palo Alto.
All that and more is coming up on today's show.
Welcome to InFocus. I'm Noor Navaid.
And I'm Ori Nirpaz.
There's a lot going on around campus.
Here's some important announcements from today's campus bulletin.
YCS Interact is holding its annual food drive and offering Pali students who are participating a chance to win some prizes. The drive will take place until February 22nd, and donations can be dropped off in third period classes. First period will get pizza, second place gets donuts, and third place gets candy. PAUSD has worked in collaboration with Lockheed Martin for decades, each year placing and supporting multiple rising seniors into their internship program, which is now open for signups. Students interested in this great opportunity to intern with a major aerospace company can sign up with the link on the screen.
KPLY will be hosting a live show and giving students a chance to take home some KPLY swag while listening to a selection of Valentine's Day theme music tailored for those single people without a Valentine. The show starts tomorrow at lunch on the quad, so be sure to find a partner and dance your heart out. For those of you that have completed 100 or more hours of community service within a 12-month period can submit their hours for a President's Volunteer Service Award. To complete your submission, go to the site on the screen, email any questions to klarson@pausd.org. Speaking of community, the Cumberland Community Center Planning Them will be on campus to discuss the future of the community center. ASB is looking for students' input on what programs and amenities the teen community would like to see in the near future. Come by to share feedback on tomorrow after tutorial in room P8.
Moving on now from what's going on around campus to what's happening in the world and locally today.
Let's take a look at what's topping today's headlines in today's News Minute.
Half of all American children with a mental health condition are not getting the necessary treatment. That's according to a new study published in the journal JAMA Pediatrics on Monday. Researchers looked at data from a survey of nearly 50 million kids ages 6 through 18, filled out by their parents. They found 7.7 million children had at least one mental health condition. The conditions included depression, anxiety, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Researchers found only half of them got treatment or counseling from a mental health provider in the last 12 months. Among the challenges, families are concerned about the stigma of a mental health condition and being able to afford treatment. And there's a severe shortage of mental health providers who treat children and adolescents.
Speaking of health, Washington state health officials confirmed 58 cases linked to a measles outbreak that began last month. 4 of those cases are just over the state border in Oregon. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention linked the Washington state outbreak to a strain from Eastern Europe after travelers returned from Ukraine with the illness. Between January 1st and February 7th, patients in 10 states were diagnosed with the new disease. New numbers will likely go up when the CDC issues the weekly update of affected states.
Students at Pali are very familiar with nicotine vaporizers and the annoyances that come with it. Some students say the benefits are a lot more numerous to the cons. But in a news report Monday made by the CDC says that there was near an 80% jump in e-cigarette use among high schoolers from 2017 to 2018. The report linked the rise to the popularity of Juul, a type of e-cigarette that uses flavored nicotine pods. A co-author of the report says the rise of vaping is the biggest single jump in teen use of a tobacco product since they started the survey in 1999. Juul has stated that the goal is to try and help current smokers reduce and eventually quit smoking, but critics of the company argue that there are some shady back dealings with Altria. The owner of the stock is 33%. While smoking isn't as acceptable today, back in 1843 it was perfectly normal to see observers of the hill smoking.
This brings us to today's edition of Today in History.
Max Bonsetter, our very own resident historian, takes us on a look at the first person of color to address either House of Congress.
What do you have for us today, Max?
Well, Ori and Nor, in 1843, Henry Highland Garnet addressed the House of Representatives for the first time, and while this may not seem so impressive, this was the first time a person of color had ever addressed either House of Congress. Presbyterian minister Henry Highland Garnet addressed the House of Representatives to deliver a sermon after being asked to do so by President Lincoln. Henry compared those who kept slaves to the Pharisees, whom Jesus charged with laying heavy burdens on others while refusing to lift a finger themselves. He exclaimed, "Great God, I would as soon attempt to enslave Gabriel or Michael as to enslave a man made in the image of God. Slavery is snatching man from the high place to which he was lifted by the hand of God and dragged him down to the level of the brute creation." End quote. That's all for me. Back over to you.
Thank you for that, Max.
Palo Alto has been experiencing a recent increase in overall crime.
Paul Thye has been investigating and has more. Paul?
The local Palo Alto media has reported on various crimes in the past few weeks. According to the reports, it would seem that the crime rate in our city is increasing. We recently reached out to Captain Perrin of the Palo Alto Police Department. His response to the issue was, quote, "Generally speaking, though, much of our crime in 2018 actually went down from 2017. We've just recently had a small handful of recent notable cases that have attracted significant press attention." End quote. Despite the crime rate going down, the media has portrayed it differently. Mr. Wilson, a journalism teacher at Pali, talked about media exaggeration.
I think there certainly is concern about over-sensationalizing stories or characterizing particular locations as having more crime than they really do. I certainly think that biases like those happen in the media.
There are many cases of the news exaggerating crime. However, there are many other places to hear misinformation than just the news.
We talk about exaggeration in the media. A huge component of that is a level of exaggeration that also happens in social media. And if you can see a lot of misinformation out there in social media, if somebody puts something out and it gets 50,000 retweets, doesn't necessarily mean that that's a qualified reporter or member of the media. It could just be a person. So I think it's also important for the public to understand that that's the world we live in now.
For InFocus, I'm Trey Bishoping.
Thanks for that great story, Paul.
Although crime is an issue, our Pali sports teams catching dubs is not.
Absolutely. Trey Bishoping is in the studio now with the latest in Pali sports news.
How did our teams do out there yesterday?
They did very well. Girls JV basketball took on Saratoga yesterday and won 45-35. Girls varsity basketball squad beat Saratoga by a score of 51-40. Boys varsity soccer faced Santa Clara and tied 2-2. Today, boys varsity baseball is at home facing Valley Christian High at 3 p.m. After that, Pali boys basketball takes on crosstown rival Gunn at home. Come out and watch the JV boys at 5:30, followed by the varsity at 7 p.m. That's all for me. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Trey.
Our meteorologist Ingrid Paichow is in the studio now with today's weather report.
Ingrid, what can we expect out there for the rest of today?
Thank you, Nora. Thank you, Ori. So today in Palo Alto, it's 52 degrees Fahrenheit right now. The high for today is going to be 54 and the low is going to be 49. For tomorrow and Thursday, you can see that it's going to be raining. The high is 61 and 58, while the lows are 55 and 45. Now looking at our forecast, you can see that it's going to be raining. For the rest of the week, the highs are going to be around the 50s, while the lows are going to be around the 40s. Now looking at our Bay Area temperatures, you can see that it's pretty much the same throughout the Bay Area. The highs are going to be around the mid-50s, while the lows are going to be on the high 40s. That's all from me. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Ingrid. Well, that does it for today's episode.
Be sure to visit our website to check out old episodes, check the bulletin, or to send us an email.
Until next time, have a great day, Pali.